Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Jon Stewart is asking the tough questions here, and the way this woman just completely dismissed him. And by the way, this is the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks, and the way she answers these questions is just proof that our military needs a complete overhaul. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. Even though Trump won the election, you still need to protect your wealth with gold and other precious metals, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits and waste, fraud, and abuse are not the same thing. So let's decompose these pieces.
Please educate me on
Sure.
What
so an audit is
difference
exactly what you just described,
Yes.
which is, do I know what was delivered to which place?
Right.
The ability to pass an audit or the fact that the DOD has not passed an audit is not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is completely false right there. So
what is
now
it
it's a question of, it's suggestive that we don't have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have where. That is not the same as saying we can't do that because waste, fraud, and abuse has occurred.
So in my world,
Yeah.
that's waste.
How is that waste?
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you are not responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? And when there has been reporting, I mean, this is not, look, I'm not saying this is on you and that you caused this, but I think it's a tough argument to
I'm pretty
make
sure I didn't cause it.
an $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went. Like, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for. And especially when they see food insecurity on military bases, and they see...
You want to talk about that? Because that's a good... we should be talking... I mean,
well,
I'm trying to understand where you're trying to go, other than the dollars, which really bother you.
I think it doesn't really bother me. I think it's all connected.
Okay.
I think
tell me that story. Tell me how you're thinking about that.
When I see a State Department get a certain amount of money and a military budget be 10 times that, and I see a struggle within government to get people like more basic services, and then that department that got that, I mean, we got out of 20 years of war and the Pentagon got a $50 billion raise. Like, that's shocking to me. Now, I may not understand exactly the ins and outs and the incredible magic of an audit, but I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's fucking corruption. I'm sorry. And if that blows your mind, and if you think like that's like a crazy agenda for me to have, I really think that that's institutional thinking, and that it's not looking at the day-to-day reality of the people that you call the greatest fighting force in the world. So I get back to this idea of like, I'm not looking to pick a fight with you, but I am surprised at that the reaction to these questions are, you don't know what an audit is, bucko. Like, that's just weird to me.
Just listen to that laugh. That's a Kamala Harris laugh. That's a nervous, I'm in trouble. I don't have an answer to this question, so I'm just gonna laugh it off. That's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. That you don't have the guts to say, hey, we are a massive organization. All right? We rival some of the biggest companies out there. So, of course, there's probably some stuff that we can clean up somewhere. And once we've cleaned up one mess, there's probably another one that falls up right behind it. It's okay to admit that you're a little behind, but it's better to say that you're doing better, that you're getting on top of these things. And instead, when Jon Stewart, who is still a 2000s liberal, and he's never going to change, but he's still an inquisitive person. So he's one of the last truly inquisitive liberals. It's pretty much him and Bill Maher at this point. And they're both wondering why everything's gotten so crazy. Well, it's simple. people in government positions have gotten complacent ever since they held their breath when Barack Obama got into office and promised all this hope and change. And you know what Barack Obama really was? A slightly gayer, light-skinned version of George W. Bush. Okay? It's really that simple. The only hope and change that we got were an expansion of the Bush wars, and we got gay rights. Okay, and when I say we, I mean we as a country. I'm pretty darn straight. I'm not exactly going to wave a pride flag anywhere, but I am good friends with log cabin Republicans, so there's that. Hey y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat'd him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. So ultimately, once these people in all these government jobs realized that there was going to be no real accountability under the Obama administration after just botching everything under the Bush the Younger's administration. Because remember, W's first term went by pretty well. The economy rebounded. We were successful in our most of our military operations. We looked like we were about to be done with Iraq. And then Katrina happened, and then we had that terrible decision to outlaw 10% of the male population in Iraq. Yeah, that turned out real well. Just ask the insurgency soldiers that had to go in during the surge. Ultimately, we have a whole bunch of people from top to bottom, from the White House all the way down to whoever's pushing stamps in the State Department. We have a just complacent group of people that just kind of need to be pushed out. Right, just, nope, thank you for trying to serve your country, but it turns out that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they found out that you really don't do much around here, and you need to go. Okay, bye. Thank you for your time. I'm sure you're going to find a job elsewhere. We're going to save the taxpayers about $250 billion pretty much every single year by getting rid of so many jobs just in our bloated government alone. I think that's what needs to happen. And so Jon Stewart's out there advocating for better conditions for people, particularly our soldiers, and I'm right there with them. And as much as Bill Maher and Jon Stewart were sort of public enemy number one to conservatives, particularly evangelical conservatives, they're now looking across the aisle at each other and wondering, hey, I think you had a point. And even Bill Maher's wondering, Richard Dawkins, sometime last year, admitted that he's a cultural Christian. And so there's this very interesting alliance that we're starting to see happen where these evangelicals are reaching across the line to these they're still sort of the new atheists, sort of, so to speak, but people who were really skeptical of the evangelical movement and had all these criticisms of the Reagan, Bush, and Clinton administrations. And now these people are reaching across the aisle and going, okay, on one hand, the reformers probably went a little too far. We've opened the door to the crazy. How about we work with the evangelicals to stop the crazy? And the evangelicals are going, you know what? You hippies might have been right about the food. Why don't we cross the lines and help each other out? That's exactly how we got Trump, right? That's exactly why RFK Jr., Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, these centrists who really didn't care about politics, they just wanted to be left alone, got pushed to the edge by far leftists pushing a woke agenda, and they finally realized, okay, we need to start pushing back against this. I think that's exactly what's happening across the political zeitgeist, and you're seeing a small moment of that right here. And granted, Jon Stewart's never going to cross the aisle into the Trump camp because he's always going to remain his own dude. All right, that's just who he is, and I respect him for it. But this lady, the Deputy Defense Secretary, Kathleen Hicks, the fact that she was laughing, being dismissive, not answering any of the questions, not owning to any of the problems, not even promising that, hey, we're actually looking into this and we're trying to get better. That is deeply disturbing. And that's why we need Elon and Vivek in the Department of Government Efficiency in one of the greatest meme moments of all time, but with real life consequences. We've got to wash away the bloat in Washington. From K Street all the way across the river to the Pentagon, we need a complete and total audit of everything, that pretty much anything we can get our hands on. So y'all, be prepared for an unusual amount of changes. And I think it's finally going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen under Bush. Granted, I was a kid at the time. I knew it wasn't going to happen under Obama. I was skeptical that it was going to happen under Trump the first time, and I know Joe Biden and definitely Kamala were completely incapable of doing anything like that. But now we have the gumption, we have the guts, we have the tools, and we have the know-how. So I'm really looking forward to these set of reforms under the new Trump administration. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Political Brawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.